What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the July 2nd, 2022 edition of the SmackDown LowDown right before Money in the Bank tonight. Wanted to watch this quickly, get the review out quickly before the pay-per-view starting at 8 p.m., the main show and the pre-show at 7, whatever. No SmackDown audio review today. Did not have enough time to watch it last night or until like just now. I just finished the show like right before I watched the SmackDown LowDown, so it really wasn't that eventful of a show anyway. The review would be brief, so I figured I would just not do a SmackDown review. But in short, my full review in written form will be up on WrestleRant.com. And again, in short, it just was not a good show. We found out that Moss will occupy the final spot for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match only after Corbin won a battle royal in the beginning of the show with the rest of the men in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Tell me how much that makes sense. Max Dupree finally unveiled his new clients, to no one's surprise. Mansoor and Mace, or Masse and Mansoir, whatever the fuck he called them. That was dumb. Just not a good show, and I figured with the pay-per-view tonight, it just wouldn't be worth it to do a full audio review of the show. So if you want to check out my full written review of the show, you can do so over at WrestleRant.com, and not to mention, kind of replacing the SmackDown audio review today is my video interview with one of the combatants in tonight's women's Money in the Bank ladder match, that being Lacey Evans. We spoke to her yesterday, put up the interview quickly here on the channel this morning, so check that out when you get a chance right here on the channel. As for the SmackDown LowDown, the show started in the studio. We had Jackie Redmond back, but an on-site Matt Camp, who will be at Money in the Bank, or is at Money in the Bank in Vegas right now, not at the pay-per-view itself, obviously, but in Vegas for Money in the Bank, so he kind of zoomed in from his hotel room. They don't ordinarily do that unless it's like JBL or Booker T or whoever. They don't ordinarily do that with the hosts, which is why, because of that format, we didn't have them show the finishes to matches in segments and then have them talk over it, like kind of recap the segments. Instead, they just kind of showed the finishes and the segments themselves in their, not entirety, but, you know, with no commentary from the host here. So it was a slightly different format than usual. A shorter show than usual, too, which was good for me. I really have no desire to sit through a fucking 30-minute episode of this shit. But to start off the show, they run down the biggest headlines from Friday's show before replaying the 6-woman tag team match that saw Asuka, Liv Morgan, and Alexa Bliss beat Raquel Rodriguez, almost like Gonzalez. That's going to take me a while to get used to. Raquel Rodriguez, Lacey Evans, and Shotzi in 6-woman tag team action. Backstage, we hear from Becky Lynch. I don't know if we haven't heard from her on the Talking Smack show in a very long time. She's interviewed backstage by Megan Moran. Becky Lynch says that the message that she sent on Friday in attacking Asuka following that match I just mentioned was that you don't get to beat her and get away with it. And she has all the momentum right now going into this women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which, I mean, Michael Cole spent the entire fucking match on commentary talking about the slump that Becky has found herself in since WrestleMania. So I know Becky won on Monday and attacked Asuka here. Ooh, is that really a momentum? Probably not. She is an odds-on favorite to win. Not the odds-on favorite. I would probably say Lacey Evans, and not just because I talked to her today, or yesterday, and the video went up today. Not just for that reason. I just think that she just makes the most sense, and they've been pushing her, and I'm thinking Lacey's winning, but Becky would not be far off at all. Matt Camp says that Becky has never won Money in the Bank, but she needs it the most, and a loss on Saturday could also cause her to lose her bravado that much more. He is picking Asuka, as he said on Raw Talk on Monday. They then replay the Ask Them Anything segment with the Street Profits and the Usos from SmackDown. The Kayla Braxton asking questions aspect of it was really stupid, but the actual verbal exchange between Usos and Profits was actually very good. Matt Camp feels the Profits got the better of that exchange, and they're prepared for what he believes is the biggest match of their careers coming up at Money in the Bank with the Usos for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles. It's a feud that's been going on for almost a year now, and the Usos know after having lost the Profits, which he's right, by the way, the feud has been going on and off since like last summer, when the Profits and Usos were initially feuding going into the fall and had that great match at Extreme Rules and that street fight on SmackDown back, I think, in October, if not late September, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the Usos know, having been beaten out by the Profits before, that being a few weeks ago on Raw, about a month ago, that they should be worried they could lose here, and they should also be worried about Roman Reigns, Matt Camp says. That if they lose, then the Bloodline loses, half of their gold. And they just came out with a new Bloodline shirt with all the championships on it. It can't be outdated with a loss, so they kind of have to win here in storyline and in actuality. And I'm thinking they will. I like the Profits, but I just don't think it's the time to take those tag titles off of the Usos, at least in my opinion. They then recap the Viking Raiders or replay whatever them attacking the New Day. Backstage, we hear from the Viking Raiders. And wouldn't you know, they actually spoke in their normal voices. This might be the best Viking Raiders promo I have heard on the main roster. Ivar said that bad things happen when they get disrespected. Eric says that bad things will continue to happen and they'll continue to attack the New Day as long as they're disrespected. And no one on the SmackDown roster is safe. Short, sweet, straight to the point, and again, they used their normal voices. And honestly, I'm shocked. You would think they would go from being perfectly fine, they were baby faces, they were over at one point, many moons ago. They spoke with the dumb voices, but they actually went from the dumb voices to something better. Usually the company regresses with characters, but they actually progressed in this case with the Viking Raiders. I mean, the face paint I still think is dumb, but the lack of cartoonish voices when they speak, which I never understood. I don't know if they did that in NXT. I don't think so. I could be wrong. Maybe they did, but the fact they were cutting promos like that on the main roster whenever they did get a chance to speak was dumb. It was stupid, so I'm glad that we're not getting that anymore, and they're actually more serious now. Ditch the face paint. I mean, the gear itself looks kind of cool. That's grown on me. The face paint, not so much, feels like Ascension 2.0. But this is a much bigger step and better step in the right direction for them than whatever the hell they were doing previously. Matt Camp says they needed to continue to find their killer instinct, and then they made quite the impression with their attack on the New Day on SmackDown. From there, they replayed the Battle Royal that started the show, won by Happy Corbin, then the Fatal 4-Way that was won by Madcap Moss to close the show, earning Moss his way into the Men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Backstage, Madcap Moss tells Megan Morant that he's close to the contract. He wants to secure his place on SmackDown in WWE history, whatever. He's going to do whatever it takes to win that match. And he's desperate, he's hungry, and he will win that match, he says, which he won't, but he says he will. And then to close out the show here, Matt Camp says that Moss is the ultimate wild card going into this matchup before running down the Money in the Bank card in its entirety, and Matt Camp's, I think, picks for each matchup. So that was the SmackDown Lowdown for July 2nd, 2022. Pretty straightforward show. We got to hear from Becky. We heard from the entrant into the Men's Money in the Bank ladder match, that being Madcap Moss. And we also heard a very normal promo from the Viking Raiders for once. So a slightly better usual addition, a slightly better edition of SmackDown, or I'm mostly talking the SmackDown Lowdown than usual. But it's going to be outdated in a few hours come Money in the Bank, so check it out now before the pay-per-view. Like I said earlier, no SmackDown audio review from me. My review of the show will be up momentarily over at WrestleRant.com in written form, so check that out. And then, like I said earlier, cheap plug, check out my full video interview right now, 15-minute chat with the one of the combatants in tonight's Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, the sassy Southern Belle herself, Lacey Evans from SmackDown. So check it out right now here on the channel. And be sure to subscribe for more interviews and reviews and stuff like this pretty much every day of the week. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy Money in the Bank tonight. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.